I serendipitously landed at a law firm in 2003. 2003 was the same year that Congress passed a law allowing trafficking victims to bring lawsuits against their traffickers in federal court. The law suddenly had opened courthouse doors so that trafficking victims could bring their own cases. And we started working with these trafficking survivors. Many of them were victims of forced labor in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. So we started working with them, and we tried so hard to get the federal prosecutors to prosecute their cases. But many of our clients had been trafficked by diplomats, and it was very difficult, not impossible, but very difficult for prosecutors to bring those cases. And frankly, I got tired of saying to clients in my office that we had tried to get a prosecution and we couldn't get a prosecution and there was nothing we could do. And so instead of saying there's nothing we can do, what I started saying was, the government's not going to bring this case, but you can bring your own case in federal court. So you can have your day in court and you can be in charge of that process. And we, your lawyers, will represent you pro bono in that case. And with that came a sort of bubbling up of these cases where trafficking victims trafficked here to the United States would bring cases in federal court alleging human trafficking and demanding damages. And they were, by and large, extremely successful. And so in one case, for example, that we did against a Tanzanian diplomat where the case hadn't been prosecuted, the verdict was close to $1.1 million in damages. Similarly, when we did another case in Virginia, a woman who had been held for 4 months in forced labor, but also the entire time she was held in that home, she was subjected to severe sexual violence, including rape and other forms of sexual abuse. The verdict in that case was $3.3 million. So even in cases where there was no prosecution and the perpetrator would never go to prison, what we were able to do slowly but surely was bring some bit of accountability, to bring some deterrence, to bring some small chink into impunity, so that trafficking survivors could feel like they had achieved justice. So we fought and fought, and what you realize with these cases is that winning in court is only about 1/10 the battle, right? Because then you have to enforce the judgment and actually get the money. It's a Pyrrhic victory for a trafficking victim to win $1 million and then never see a penny, right? So the lawyers have to be completely dedicated, not just to winning the case, but actually seeing it through all the way to collection.